Aura as a noun is defined as the distinctive atmosphere or quality that seems to surround and be generated by a person, thing, or place. In today's video, we're going to be discussing fighters that have achieved maximum aura. So I bet you're probably wondering, well, how does a fighter gain said aura? There are two primary catalysts for a fighter to gain aura. The first of these catalysts is the fighter's performances. A performance like Jon Jones had over Cyril Gane gives him plus aura points. However, having a performance like Leon Edwards did against Belal Muhammad is how you lose aura, not gain it. Think about Belal Muhammad. Before his title fight with Leon Edwards, everybody was counting him out. Now, I know that some of you might pretend to be Belal fans, but before that night, there were none. And now look at him, he's walking around with a UFC belt. The man has aura now. These are the kind of performances that gain you aura. They don't even have to be super exciting, but they do have to be fairly dominant. Jon Jones and Belal Muhammad both pretty much did exactly what they wanted to their opponents, and that gives them aura. The second catalyst for a fighter to gain aura is their overall demeanor. The example I raise you is Islam Makhachev. Now, in this picture that I have up on the screen when he's sitting in the crowd, obviously, this man has no aura. He looks dumb, he looks lost, and honestly, he looks challenged. But in this picture that I have on the screen, after he just knocked out Alexander Volkanovski and he's hushing the crowd, that is demeanor that gives you aura. So now that we know what aura is, and we know how a fighter can gain aura, let's take a look at some fighters who have the most aura in the UFC. The first fighter we're going to be taking a look at is Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now, Shavkat is an 18-0 prospect from Kazakhstan who fights in the welterweight division. This guy has aura. He is 18-0, undefeated as a pro, and 5-0 in the UFC with all finishes. He has subs over guys like Stephen Thompson and Geoff Neal. Now, these guys aren't necessarily championship level, but the fact that Shavkat is just running through them gives him aura. I mean, look at the man, look at the performances, look at his flag, look at the hat. This guy has aura, he is strong, he is silent, and nobody wants to fight him. Not to mention that this guy is only 29. He's still 2 or 3 years away from his prime. Shavkat also has a 100% finish rate in his whole pro MMA career with 8 knockouts and 10 submissions. This guy is dangerous on the feet and on the ground. Some were questioning his skill set after his performance against Stephen Thompson because at first it was a little boring. There was a lot of clinching, but then after the fight, Shavkat came out and said that he had injured his arm, so he couldn't strike and he couldn't grapple as effectively as he wanted to. And once people figured that out, that gave this guy even more aura. He was injured and he still managed to finish a crafty veteran like Stephen Thompson. The next fighter we're going to be talking about is Max Holloway. Now, Max Holloway honestly did not have a lot of aura before his UFC 300 finish over Justin Gaethje. However, up a weight class, he knocked out the BMF Justin Gaethje at the very last second of the very last round after pointing to the middle of the octagon in a fight that he was winning. Of course, that is aura. This man discovered the infinite aura glitch in real time, and we got to witness it. Not to mention, he also hit one of the coldest celebrations in UFC history. Top 5 at least. I mean, look at this picture I have up on the screen. Tell me that's not aura. The next fighter we're going to be talking about is none other than Charles Oliveira. When Charles Oliveira was the champ, he undoubtedly had the most aura in the entire UFC. I mean, this guy would just go anywhere, playing his Brazilian gospel music, saying the champ has a name and it is Charles Oliveira, and everyone would just praise him. Everybody loved this guy. Everybody still loves this guy. And even though he doesn't have quite as much aura, he still has so much aura around him. Even after his losses, this guy keeps his aura, which is one of the most unique things we've ever seen before. Because usually when guys lose, they just lose all of their aura. I mean, think about Yuri Prohaska. The man had so much aura before his fights with Alex Pereira because there was just so much unknown about him. He had such a crazy style, he had some amazing wins, but then after getting flatlined twice, there's just nothing left for him. That's not the case with Charles Oliveira. This guy has aura no matter where he goes. The next fighter we're going to be talking about is actually the fighter who inspired me to make this video, Alex Pereira. Now, I'm sure you guys know who Alex Pereira is. He is a 6'4" mixed martial artist with an 11-2 record who has 9 knockout wins as a professional mixed martial artist. He's also the UFC light heavyweight champ and the former UFC middleweight champ. Alex Pereira is 4-1 in his last 5, only losing to Israel Adesanya, another incredible championship level fighter. He currently has 3 title wins at light heavyweight in the UFC, and none of these fights have made it out of the second round. His most recent win over Yuri Prochazka went just 13 seconds into the very second round. Before that, he came off a UFC 300 main event knockout win over Jamal Hill in the very first round, where he emoted on him afterwards. This gave this guy so much aura, more than he already had. It's unbelievable. Before all his fights, he's stoic, he's calm, he's locked in the cage. He has epic stare downs. The stare down with him and Yuri Prochazka will live on in legend forever for being the best stare down before a fight. This guy shows up, breaks faces, and then leaves. Alex Pereira is who Jeremy Stevens thinks he is.
This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't fucking move. They're like, who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
The only thing more impressive than his resume is the fact that he's still getting better at 37 years old. This guy is improving drastically fight to fight, and if people keep striking with him, he's gonna keep knocking them down and knocking them out. The next fighter we're gonna be talking about is the true heavyweight champ, Tom Aspinall. Now, Tom Aspinall hasn't always had this much aura, but it all started when he knocked out Sergey Pavlovich. Now, before their fight, Sergey Pavlovich was the one who had all of the aura. This guy was a scary Russian monster, knocking everybody out in his path. But then here comes Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall stepped in on like a week or two's notice and knocked out Sergey Pavlovich in 1 minute and 9 seconds at UFC 295. An absolutely legendary performance. And then after that, instead of fighting Jon Jones, because Dana White is defending Jon Jones and glazing him and keeping him from tough fights, Tom Aspinall had to defend his interim title against Curtis Blades, who he knocked out in 1 minute at UFC 304. Tom Aspinall is destroying the best heavyweights in the world in 1 minute each. This guy has an average fight time of just 2 minutes and 10 seconds in the UFC out of fighters with a minimum of 5 fights. I mean, that is unreal. This guy is smashing the competition. Not to mention that he has more title defenses than the supposed champion, Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall is one of the first fighters that people actually believe could take out Jon Jones. He is just as big or bigger than Jon Jones. He has amazing skills. He has 100% takedown defense, 100% takedown accuracy. He's a big, strong, fast, skilled heavyweight, and this is the first time we might actually see somebody beat Jon Jones. The final fighter we're going to talk about today is none other than the notorious Conor McGregor. Now, when you think of aura in a fighter, you think of Conor McGregor. This guy showed up, made a name for himself, and became the double champion of featherweight and lightweight. This guy made $100 million boxing Floyd Mayweather. And regardless of what you think of his recent performances, in his prime, this guy had some of the most aura we've ever seen out of anyone on earth. And that's important to note because with Conor McGregor, it's not just about his aura in fighting. Yes, he's a fighter, and yes, he has aura, but the aura nowadays mostly comes from other things. This guy has a net worth of around $250 million. This guy made $100 million in one night against Floyd Mayweather. You might see Conor McGregor on Instagram fishing off of his Lamborghini yacht off the coast of some random country you've never heard of, just because he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Conor McGregor's trash talk in his prime was unrivaled. He made a fool out of Jeremy Stevens at the press conference that they were at. He made Dustin Poirier say that he's never disliked anybody more that he's ever fought, and he tortured Jose Aldo for months before their title fight. By the time that Jose Aldo got in the cage for that fight, he had already lost many times over in his own mind. In 2024, Conor McGregor might be washed, but at least he's rich, and that still gives him some aura. But in 2016, this guy had the most aura out of anyone we had ever seen, and I don't think we're ever going to see aura quite like his ever again. Sean O'Malley, you ain't that guy, lil bro. That is going to conclude my list for UFC fighters with the most aura. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and if I missed anyone that you think should have been on this list, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching until the very end, and I will see you next time.